Okay, today I'm going to make a hair bow using wired ribbon, but we're going to take the wires out of them. This is one example of what we're going to do today. We're going to use a different color, but this is a large glitter bow. These are real pretty. This is like a spring color. There are some colors available at Walmart. I get a lot of my ribbon from a place called Silks and Crafts, and they do have a website that you can order from, silksandcrafts.com. I just actually go to the store. But anyway, they've got beautiful ribbon, a lot of wired ribbon, and I don't see a whole lot of tutorials with really large bows like this. And I hope to complete a group of tutorials showing, the different kinds of bows that can be made and how to decorate them and whatnot. And this is an example of what we're going to make today, but I'll show you some other examples of things that I do want to get to eventually. This is a double layered Disney princess bow with the cameo in the middle. I don't know if you can see it real well. We're going to do a tutorial on this eventually. Let's see, here's another one with Princess Ariel with the cameo and bottle cap in the middle. St. Patrick's Day is coming up. This is a gorgeous glitter ribbon, and these are all wired ribbons, but we're going to take the wires out of them to make the hair bows. Let's see, here's a La La Loopsy, and you can tell I'm a big fan of the bottle caps in the middle. And then the last one I'll show you is, this is actually a 3-layer, with one on top and one on the bottom of the glitter, and then you just have the little Minnie Mouse in the middle. Okay, the supplies we're going to need, you do need a needle and thread, and don't let this put you off. We're not really sewing, we're just securing the middle of the bow, and this is the best way to do it so it won't come apart. Okay, so needle and thread. I highly recommend upholstery thread for this, because any kind of other thread that's not as strong is going to break when you use it. Keep in mind these are really big bows, so you need some strong thread, and a spool of it doesn't really cost that much. Another thing that you're going to need is a salon clip. You might be able to use one a little smaller than this. A lot of the videos, I see these things aren't utilized too much, but again, because of the size of the bow, this is a tool that I use for everyone. Some bow makers use a gator bite. I find the gator bite's a little bit short in length for creasing the big bows. But like I said, I got this for 50 cents. I do believe Sally's probably carries something like this. I got mine from a little Chinese shop in town. And maybe if y'all are interested in purchasing some, maybe I can help you out with that. I think there is a website called hairhardware.com that sells these. So anyway, I'm going to show you, what I do with this. And then of course you need your sewing scissors. You don't want to pull that pair of scissors out of the drawer in the kitchen. That's not going to cut it. You definitely need a good pair of sewing scissors that will cut the ribbon. Okay. I also use just a little alligator clip to secure the bow in the middle, and I'll show you what I'm doing with this. You may not want it, but I use it. Another thing, again, and this is optional, if I can find it here, this is two-sided crafters tape. I believe Elmer's puts out something similar. I get this from Hobby Lobby. It's just two-sided tape is what it is. And I use it sometimes. I'm going to show you how to use it today. You know, and again, it's optional. It just helps to have both ribbons stay together, and it's, you know, makes the bow easier to make because, you know, you don't have to struggle with holding the ribbon. And then one of my favorite tools is the wood burning tool. I've seen a couple of videos where this was utilized. I use it on every single bow for a couple of reasons. One reason is because it adheres both of your ribbons together, and the second reason is because it makes your tails look very professional. Okay, and but definitely be careful. You know, this is no joke here. This thing is very hot. You know, so you want to make sure that you're, you know, you keep it in a little cup or something. You also need a piece of cardboard to cut your ribbon on when you use this. Okay, this is more deadly than a glue gun, in my opinion. It can burn you really, really bad, so just be careful. But it's a great tool for bow making. Okay, and then of course you need, you know, a glue gun. Mine looks like every crafter's glue gun. It's been used a lot, so it looks awful, but anyway, I don't care. Most bow makers use a high temp gun. Honestly, I use both, depending on what I'm doing. So I have both of them plugged up, and I use both high and low temp. Okay, I think I've covered everything. And just to warn you, if we can make it through this entire video without a dog growling or barking, that will be a miracle because I do have little dogs. I'm the dog lady. Alright, the ribbon that I have chosen for this bow is a glitter teal color. And this, you know, this really goes with a lot of things, I think. And again, I have seen this color in Walmart. So, you know, it comes on a spool like that. This didn't come from Walmart, but I have seen it sold at Walmart. They have a couple of different colors, red and black and blue, I think. But anyway, this one, this is a popular color. Okay. And then you also want to get, and this is 2.5 inches in width. And then you want to get a solid color to go on the inside of it, like I was showing you with this bow. This is a lavender on the inside. It's a grosgrain, and that's 2.25 inch width. Okay. We're going to use two different colors on this bow, even though, you know, this one doesn't have two different colors, but we're going to use two different ones on this one. This is a good idea for like cheerleaders, you know, if you have the two different school colors or whatever. I've made a lot of bows for, you know, for cheer squads and whatnot. So this is definitely something that shows up on the field, football field. So it's real pretty. It stands out. Okay, so measurements for our bow. Remember, this is a, you know, really large bow. We're not making one of those, you know, little bitty boutique bows. And in saying that, I want to say that you can still do a bow like this in a smaller size. They do sell the glitter ribbon and, well, wired ribbon in general, at 1.5 inches in width, and you can make the smaller bows look like this. Okay, you don't have to have them gigantic, but I'm from the South, and everyone likes big bows here for their daughters, so it's just a popular thing here. Now, again, getting back to the length, both of my ribbons are cut to 50 inches. If you don't want to go quite that large, you can reduce it, you know, a couple of inches at a time. You could do 48 or 46. I really wouldn't go too much under, you know, 45 or 46, because then it becomes hard to work with, to twist your bow, you know, because this ribbon is pretty stiff. Okay, so once you have both colors, both ribbons cut to your desired length, the first thing you want to do is take these wires out, okay? And what I do is I just kind of fold it in half. And I'm not the best videographer here, so forgive me. And then I just kind of push this down right here until these wires come out, you know, a little ways. And, you know, just make sure that you pull them out maybe about a ½ inch or whatever. Okay. And then I get a pair of scissors, and I just put my thumb and this, you know, I just kind of sandwich the wire in between, and then I just pull it out. All right. Pull it a little ways. You know, you just want to get that wire out of there. We don't need it. Okay. And I do save some of my wire to use in making loopy bows. But once I have gathered up a collection of it, then I just start throwing it away unless you can use it for other things. So anyway, I just wad it up, and it goes in the garbage can. Sometimes my dogs dig in the garbage and find it, and they scatter it in the house, or I have to get it out of their fur. But anyway, we don't need that wire. Okay, I'm trying to stay in camera range here. Now, what you want to do first is sandwich the two together. You want your glitter side up, and then if it's a solid color, it doesn't really matter which side that you put it on. Okay, now you want to put your cardboard down, because the next thing we're going to do is use our wood burning tool to solder these together, if you will. Alright, so I've got my tool here, and basically I cut mine at a diagonal. You know, it's totally up to you if you just want to go straight across or whatever. Alright, I start it at one corner, and I know it's kind of hard to see. And basically you just hold it down, but don't get your fingers too close, okay? And you're going to just go straight across right there, and I'll show you what it does. Hold it down tight, and I'm just going straight across. You might want to practice with this first. And it melts the two ribbons together is what happens, okay? And I know it's kind of hard to see. Alright. Now you have this piece, and you just want to throw that away, and then I'll show you. And you see it just kind of melts the ribbon together, okay? And all I did was I went across that top part there with the tool, and it comes with a couple of different attachments. That one, you know, I bought from Walmart, $10, and you know, you can tell which one that you know you're going to use, and it's very clean and very professional, and it just melts the two together, and then you don't have to worry, you know, about it coming apart. Okay, now the next thing that you want to do is optional. I do use the two-sided tape sometimes. With these, whenever I have the same size ribbon, I don't use it, but when I, you know, put like the Disney one I showed you, whenever I put the 1.5 inch on the top of a, you know, 2 1/4 inch, then I use this. But until you kind of get the hang of it, this is an easy way to put the two ribbons together without using like a messy glue or having to wait for it to dry, that kind of thing. And then you don't have to worry about you know, your ribbon falling off. If you know, it's just, you got to practice with it first, and this is, you know, something that can help you with it. All right, so I'll show you how you basically how you do it. I'm probably not going to tape the entire bow just for time's sake, but I'm going to show you how to do it in case you want to use it. Flip it over to where you have the grosgrain this side up, and then basically I just flip the grosgrain over, okay, and what you want to do is with a ribbon with this wide of width, you might want to use 2 strips. All right, so I just go across the top and go across the bottom. I mean, if you know, if you just want to do one down the middle, whatever your preference is, okay, and you're not going to see this through the ribbon, okay, and then I just push it back over, and there you go. All right, and you see it sticks, and you don't have to, you know, worry about it falling as you're making the bow. Making bows this large can be kind of awkward, so any help you can get would be good. Okay. Now, like I said, I'm not going to do the whole bow because I've mastered making the bows without needing to do that, but it's a good thing if you know, if you want to do it. Okay, so now we're going to start making our bow. Now this bow is no different than any of the other bows, really. It's just your normal boutique style 4-loop bow. It's just, you know, we're doing a large bow, and it's different kind of ribbon, and there's a lot of beautiful wired ribbons, and you know, it's just so hard to make hair bows out of them, and that's why, you know, I wanted to kind of show some of these videos, you know, on the bigger hair bows with the wired ribbon. You know, not too many people make hair bows with wired ribbon. Okay, so basically you just want to start with your first loop here. Make sure I'm in camera range. Alright, now another thing with these big bows, you want to make sure that your bow is loopy, and you can see how I have this kind of straight up and down, or, you know, barely at a diagonal. You don't want to, you know, put your loop down here. You want to make sure it's perky, okay? So you want to put it up here like this, okay? And these, you know, these big bows are hard to make. All right, so then you want to do your second loop, okay? And again, you know, you have to practice with the ribbon, and that's why it's a good thing if you tape it together. Okay, now let me straighten this out here. All right, now again, this is a big bow, and I know the camera's kind of not at a great angle, but you have your 2 loops here, and even though these aren't straight up and down, they're, you know, they're almost, okay? All right, so you got these 2 crisscross, and some people, you know, they start their top loops first or whatever. You know, I start on the bottom, okay? And you can see the little tail right, you know, is right behind this first one, okay? All right. Then you've got this big piece right here, okay? What you want to do, and again, I don't have mine taped, so I have to hold it and readjust. All right, your third loop, you're going to stick it behind this right here. You're going to stick it behind here. Okay. And again, you're adjusting the whole time. All right, and then you want to bring this one up in the front. Okay. So you've got this big huge bow and it's kind of floppy or whatever, and that's what you need the clip for. Okay, so this is what it looks like. It's just a boutique bow. That's it. You're just dealing with bigger ribbon. Okay. All right. Now, you just want to play with it for a little bit. Okay, and I'm actually going to redo mine real quick. Okay, again, one loop. And it's hard to get these big bows in the camera. Alright, and then there's your second loop. Now, another thing, and I forgot to tell you about the clip. My alligator clip here, I put it in the middle. Okay, see how I did that? I just put it at the bottom in the middle there, and that kind of holds those loops while you're doing your top part of your bow. Okay. Alright, I'm going to adjust here. Alright, and then take that piece, form your third loop. Alright, and then you put it behind there. And then your fourth loop. And there you go. And this is a pretty big bow. This is going to be a very large bow. Okay, now I've got my clip. I'm going to put it in the top and slide it all the way down. Okay, alright, and you see how the clip looks now. Alright, now the alligator clip, you can take it out. You don't need it anymore. And basically what you want to do now is, and this is a part you're going to have to practice. You want to adjust your loops, and you're going to pull on it while you have your clip in. And this clip is, it's a good creasing tool. Okay. One thing that I do is, I pull my loops right here, and if they're even, then that's okay. You see how I'm doing that? I'm just pulling my loops down, and these are the bottom loops, and I'm looking at them, and if they're okay, then I'm good. Alright, and then I do the same to the top loops. Okay, you see how I'm holding my clip and I got the top loops. I do the same thing. Alright, well, my left side is a little off, so I'm going to pull it over. Okay, and you basically just want to keep messing with it until you think that it looks good. Okay, and just keep that clip on. These clips, don't really have strong teeth or anything, so it's not too hard to slide your ribbon. Okay, and this is just really a great tool for these big, large bows. Okay, when you start making these and kind of giving this a try, you might just want to start with a single layer first and see how you do. If you tackle this right away and it's just frustrating, I would say don't give up. I think a lot of people who try to make bows give up after the first one. The first bows that I tried to make looked awful. You have to keep doing it until you get it the way you want it. Okay, so I think I've messed with it enough, and alright, this is what we have so far, and we're gonna cut this tail with our wood burning tool after we finish the bow. I don't do it before. I wait till I finish the bow because it creates bumps and whatever. You just have so much adjusting to do. It's better to wait. Okay. All right. Now you want to get your thread and needle. And again, we aren't sewing anything. We are basically just securing the middle of this bow. Okay. Now you want to turn your bow over to the back. Okay. And you just want to go in the center through your clip in the back here. Okay. and bring it all the way through. You want to make sure, I do you know, the double thread here with the knot. Make sure, you know, you do your knot, okay? All right, then you want to go through the top of the bow. And there's the dog growling. And then you just string it, you turn it back over, and you string it through the bottom, basically creating, you know, this circle of thread around the middle. And I go through the top again, and through the back, until I've, you know, created a little bit of a thread circle. Okay, so you can see we've got our thread in the middle there. Okay, now I've got my thread in the back here. Make sure you end up in the back behind the bow. Okay, and then you just want to pull it until the bow creases. Pull on the top, and then maybe pull the bottom, pull down, and then, you know, until you have your crease. Okay, leaving this clip on. Okay, don't pull this clip off until you have it completely creased, and you have to pull pretty hard. Okay, so I have it creased pretty good, and now I can pull this clip off. Okay, now again, it's an adjusting game. You adjust your loops, kind of fix everything, get them the way you want them. Okay, now I haven't tied it off in the back yet. Now the crease is staying pretty well, and like I said, you know, you may have another method of creasing, and that's fine. This is the one that works best for me. I like to sew it in the middle. You know, and creasing this with your fingers, hey, if you can do that, hats off to you. But like I said, with the thickness of this ribbon, and you know, how big this bow is, that's not something I can do. So, alright, so basically this is what we have so far. Alright, so you want to turn it over to the back and tie it off. You know, I just go through the back one time, make a knot. Okay, now do not cut it yet. Alright, you leave your string. Okay, now just kind of set it to the side, and I guess another thing I forgot to tell you is you're going to need a barrette. Now for a bow this size, you want to use either a 70 millimeter or 80 millimeter barrette. I do not recommend an alligator clip for this big old bow. You know, that's your preference, but I wouldn't recommend it. Okay, you know, a French clip is what I would use for this. If you want to use an alligator clip, I would, you know, maybe get a long one. Those little, you know, clips that are under 2 inches don't work too well. Alright, so open up your clip, and you want to remove the tension bar out of the middle and put it to the side. Okay, so you just have your clip here. Alright, now you want to get your glue gun, and when I'm gluing hardware onto a bow, I do use the high temp. Okay, and you want to leave your thread, remember. Leave your thread out, don't cut it yet. Okay, alright. The glitter kind of makes a glare. Alright, so all I do is put a little row of glue on the back. Alright, I get my barrette and just place it, hold it into place for a minute. Okay. Then I take my thread and I wrap it around the center, wrapping it around the French barrette, up 2 or 3 times, pull it tight, and then tie it off again. And that way you kind of have your barrette secured even better in the back so it doesn't come off. Okay, then once you've done that, you cut your string, your thread. Okay, and we don't need that anymore. Okay, we're almost finished. Now, okay, so this is about what you should have. Okay, we just need to take care of the center, and then this nasty tail right here. We'll go ahead and take care of that first. It really doesn't matter what order you go in. Okay, now what I do is, you want to make sure that they're together, centered. Okay, just like you did the first tail. Okay, then I just kind of pull it apart from the bow and place it on my piece of cardboard like that. There's glitter everywhere. I get my wood burning tool and I cut diagonally, just like I did the first time. Hold it real well. And this is something you need to practice a little bit. Alright, and I just cut across there. I know it's kind of hard for you to see. I'm not the best at the camera work yet. Alright, so then you have your nice professional looking tail here. Okay, a lighter is not going to do this, guys. You know, if you're just dealing with heat sealing spikes or, you know, something like that, then a lighter is great. But for something like we're doing, the wood burning tool is going to work the best. Okay. All right, last step. Now I did forget to include this in the supplies. We need to do something to the center. Now, you can add feathers, you can add a bottle cap, buttons, whatever. We are going to just put a simple knot in this one. Okay, so the idea here, hopefully it's obvious, is to get the same color ribbon for your center as the inside ribbon. This pink grosgrain that we have on the inside, we want our knot to match it. Okay, so let me get my pink ribbon out. Okay. Now there is an art to making knots. Okay, and, oh, actually I got the wrong color pink. Alright. You can just use a solid color to do the center. Okay, I'm actually going to use 2 different types of ribbon. Alright, this is a 7/8 pink sequin ribbon. There is a website that has fabulous ribbon called Oh My Gosh Goodies, and this is where I got this sequin ribbon. Now Hobby Lobby sells the 7/8 sequin ribbon in the ribbon section, but it's in the trims. Okay, and this really adds just a, you know, real beautiful knot to the bows. Okay, but you also need the solid grosgrain ribbon, and this is a 7/8. Okay, and we're going to sandwich those 2 together and make a knot. Now you can just use the solid color, and that would be fine. But you know, again, the more sparkle, the better. Okay, so we're going to make a double ribbon knot here. Okay. I don't know. Let's see. I would think I probably use more ribbon than I should, but just to kind of measure here, you probably need a good 8 inches in length here, just to, you know, be sure. Something like 7 or 8 inches. It's better to have too much than not enough. Okay, so I'm cutting both of them at the same time. I just sandwiched them together. Okay, they're both, you know. All right, so you have something like this. All right. And my dog is growling at me, so let me give her a bone real quick. I say dogs, I should have said dog. Okay, now, and you've probably, you know, if you watch a lot of these tutorials, making the knots or, you know, something that's, I think, covered a lot in the videos. You basically want to do like an awareness symbol to start out with. And, actually, that's okay. I'll put the left side over the right. Okay. If you can see that. Alright, and then you just kind of go underneath. You know, the left piece is going to go underneath through the top, and you're going to pull it through, and then you kind of turn your ribbons so that it's flat. Your ribbon is flat on top. Okay. Alright, and this is the kind of knot I like. Okay, it's kind of just at a point. Some people make, you know, they go ahead and pull their ribbon all the way through, and it kind of makes it a little bit more of a scrunched up knot. Okay, and I'm going to do that one more time just to show you. Alright, you want to sandwich both pieces, of course, with the shiny ribbon on top. Okay, and then I make an awareness symbol. I do my left piece over my right piece. Kind of like if you were going to make a cheer bow. Okay. And then you just feed that bottom up through the top, through that hole. Okay. And you can see this flat piece, but then you just kind of turn it. You see how I did that? I just, you know, you're going to turn it so that the shiny piece, you know, ends up on top on both sides as well. Okay. Okay, and then you just, you know, you don't want to pull it too tight, because then, like I said, you're going to have a knot. And, you know, you don't really want that, okay? So this is kind of, you know, this is what it looks like. Okay. Now, if you want to, you can put a dot of glue in the center there to kind of hold it down. You don't have to. I normally don't, but we'll do that for the video's sake. You just, you know, need a little bit. Okay, and then you just place that knot. Okay, and then you just feed the, you know, the other two to the other side, and you know, you see what I'm doing? I'm pushing my ribbon and kind of, you know, manipulating the loops and manipulating the ribbons so that I can go to the back, and I will hold the two pieces and turn it back around to the front to make sure that that's what I want my bow to look like. Okay, and you know, I adjust and pull and make, you know, make sure it's because once you glue it, you know, that's it. You can't go back and readjust. Okay, and I'm pulling this real tight. You know, you want the knot to be pulled pretty tight across that middle section. Okay. Okay, so then you go around to the back side, and I'm going to trim a little bit of this excess off. Alright, makes such a mess. Alright, this is where I use my low temp gun to, and again, it doesn't, you know, matter a whole lot, but I have this real nice messy low temp here. And then you want to glue, put a little bit of glue in between your sparkly ribbon and your grosgrain ribbon, just to make sure that they stay together. Okay. And again, you're probably asking, and I can't get this apart, why do I need the solid grosgrain why can't I just use the sparkly ribbon, or why can't I just use one layer of ribbon? Well, the sparkly ribbon needs a little bit of backing to make it solid enough to stay in a knot. Otherwise it'll be saggy, if that makes sense. Okay, and then you just glue each side down. Okay, you see that? I'm just gluing one piece down, and then I'm gluing this over it. Okay, and there you go. Alright, my other dog's growling at me, so let me give her a bone. Okay, so this is basically what you should have. And the final step is to put our tension bar back into our barrette. Okay, so you want to turn that around. Oops, my ribbon came loose here. Let me glue that down a little bit better. And again, once you have everything done, it's just readjusting until you have it, And that's the good thing about sewing it in the middle. Once you've sewn your bow in the middle, you can pull the heck out of it. And, it's not going to come apart. Okay, that's why I'm a big advocate of sewing in the middle. Okay, now, I don't know if I can show this real well in the camera. A good way to put the tension bar back in without bending it is you want to stick the first little fork piece in the front. Okay, and then all you have to do is lay this piece in the back. See how I just clipped it in the back? And you don't have to push it in all. Whoop. Well, let me try that again. Alright. Popped out on me. Alright, you want to push it in the front, and then you just have to lay it on this back part, and you probably better hold it with your thumb like I did. And then all you have to do is flip. Okay? And that way you're not pushing it in and bending it all up. Okay? And that's it, folks. That is our very huge glitter bow. Isn't that pretty? I mean, that is just fabulous with all the gorgeous new clothes that have the foil print on, on the little girls' clothes. I'm sure you guys noticed that, the gold and silver foil print or whatever color. They have gorgeous stuff now for little girls. And these bows are really perfect for that. But anyway, if you have any questions or comments, I'm sure this was not the greatest video. I know it was kind of hard to see. I'm like I said, I'm not a real great person with that yet, but I will work on it. Future videos hopefully will include how to decorate these. We're going to put some feathers in the middle, and like I said, all the cute Disney characters and whatnot. There's also, I have where I decorate the tails with rhinestones, and all the fun things you can put in the middle, and tulle, and most of these are going to be large bows, but like I said, they do sell the smaller ribbons, so you can make them smaller. If you don't, you can't use a real big bow yet, or whatever. Your little one is not big enough for a huge bow, but even the little babies in the South have the big hair bows. Okay, so hopefully I'll get some more videos together, and see you next time. Thanks for watching.